everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm super excited to have you here today, and today, before we get started, be sure to hit that subscribe button listed down below, that big red button. It's totally free to subscribe and I would love to have you as part of my crafty family here on YouTube. Now this video is going to be all about the difference between the Cricut Maker and the Cricut Maker 3.
Whatever we would do, we do it just for fun.
Now I know what you're thinking, because a lot of people brought this up when the Maker 3 came out. Why isn't there a Maker 2? The reason is because they did the Cricut Explore, then they did the Explore Air 2, and now they have the Explore 3. So they didn't want to get people confused with the Maker 2 and the Explore Air 2. It's kind of weird and I know it's a little bit confusing, but the Maker 3 is just a 3 series machine with the Explore 3. So just know there is no Maker 2, you didn't miss one, it just went from Maker to Maker 3. Now, there are a lot of things that are exactly the same with these machines, and I'm going to talk about those first. That way you can kind of see how it really didn't change, and then we'll talk about some of the things that are just a little bit different between the two machines. So one of the first things that is exactly the same with these machines is that you can use all of the same blades and tools with both the Maker and the Maker 3. You can use all of the blades and tools, so using the quick swap housing, plus the regular tools like the scoring tool, the rotary tool, all of those, the fine point blade, the deep cut blade, the fabric bonded blade, all of those work in both machines exactly the same, plus the foil tool as well. So you don't have to worry about buying brand new tools or anything, they are all completely interchangeable. Another thing that is very much the same is just the machine in general. They're going to be able to cut on the same force and pressure as each other, so they're both going to be able to cut all the same materials. The Maker 3 does not have like a higher pressure or anything like that. The motor's the same, all that stuff. So you're going to be able to cut the thin wood, cardstock, vinyl, fabrics, all of those things on both of the machines. That did not change at all. Another thing is that with the Maker 3, it only comes in the one color. This has been out for quite some time. No new colors have been released, so it's kind of like a gray-blue. But you can get the regular Maker in a bunch of different colors. Now mine is covered with rhinestones. I'll link these down below. Every time I show it, everybody wants to know how to do it. They're just some rhinestones that I got off of Amazon. It was really easy to do. But it comes in a bunch of different colors for the lid. The regular part of the machine right here is going to be the same color, and then on the inside you'll have a matching color. Now let's talk about the inside of the machine and some of the things that are different but yet still the same. The inside of the machine, you'll see that they both have the carriages, both with the clamp A and the clamp B. Clamp A is going to be for your pens or your scoring stylus, things like that. And clamp B will be for all of your different tools, your quick swap housing tools, and your foil tool. You have both of the little compartments. They are identical to both machines. Those are great to hold your tools or pens, things like that. And then both machines have the little slot in the top for your iPad or your phone, and they both also have the charging port on the side that you can use with your iPad or your phone or whatever you want to charge. The other thing that's just a little bit different but yet still the same are the buttons. On the original Maker, what you have is kind of an up and down button, which is your load. Then you also have the Cricut button, which is the little Cricut logo, and that's your little go button. You have the pause button, and then you also have your power button. Now over on the Cricut Maker 3, your buttons look a little bit different, but all have the same functions. Your up and down button looks just a little bit different, and that is again your load and unload button. Your Cricut button now looks like a little triangle play button, and the pause button looks exactly the same, and so does the power button. They all have the exact same function. I also want to show you the inside of the drawers here, the little doors. So inside, they look pretty much the same. They really haven't changed anything. These are great to hold extra tools, blades, weeding things, stuff like that. They have a little magnetic blade holder. As you can see, I have some blades in mine, and then I also have blades in the packaging in my little door. Nothing has changed on the inside of the door, but what you'll notice is in the Maker 3, you have these little tabs, and those are going to help you line up your material perfectly every time, especially when using the matless cutting. Now, that's something that's very different with the machines, but there are some caveats to the matless cutting. So on your Cricut Maker 3, you can do matless cutting. However, your material needs to be 13 inches wide, which you're not really going to find at most vinyl retailers. Now sure, can you cut down a 24-inch roll to be 13 inches wide? You absolutely can. However, it's kind of a pain and you're taking that kind of chance that maybe you're not going to get it quite right. But you can use their Smart Materials with this to cut matless. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Cricut Smart Materials. I do find the backing to be very, very hard to work with. The backing is very thick on them, so it is a little bit hard to work with. But when you're cutting matless, you can cut up to 12 feet long, which is huge, and you can cut 11.7 inches wide when you're doing matless. Regular mat cutting on both machines still is going to limit you to 23.5 inches long and 11.5 inches wide. Print and cut is exactly the same on both machines as well. You're going to be able to print and cut 6.75 inches wide by 9.25 inches tall. Nothing has changed print and cut wise on either machine. They're identical. You're not going to be able to print any bigger on the Maker 3. So keep that in mind if that's something that you want to make anything bigger. Look into Silhouette and the StarCraft Solo if you're somebody who wants to print and cut a lot larger. Now, what comes in the box is totally different between the two machines, so if you are just getting started with Cricut, I would highly recommend sticking with the Maker. In the box for the Maker, you get the machine itself. You also typically are going to get 2 mats. Now that is kind of up in the air. Some people only get 1, but some people do get 2. I got a fabric grip mat and a light grip mat when I got my machine. Plus, you get the fine point blade, which is the blade you're going to probably use the most. And then you also get the rotary blade with this machine. Plus, you get some materials to start your first project with. Over here at the Maker 3, you're not getting any mats with it. You do not get the rotary tool. You only get the fine point blade and the machine, but you do get a few of the Smart Materials so that you can start cutting right away. You get some Smart Vinyl, you get some Smart Cardstock, and I believe there was some Smart Iron-On as well in the box. So you're able to start cutting right away with the machine, but you will need to purchase mats and the rotary blade, which is like $30. So I do kind of prefer the Maker when it comes to just getting started. If you already have a Maker and you want to upgrade, the Maker 3 could be a great option. The other thing is the Maker 3, there is a roll holder that you can get to go with your machine. This will actually clip in to these little tabs that are on your Maker door, and it will load your Smart Iron-On, your Smart Vinyl, any of those, the big rolls, loads it really, really nicely, but it doesn't roll back into the roll, so you just have to be aware of that. It is kind of handy, and it does have a little cutter to it as well, so it makes it easy to unload your machine. But that's another $50 on top of what you've already spent on your Maker 3. So I think you really have to think about what your budget is and really what you want to do with the machine. That's kind of the biggest difference, is that matless cutting with Smart Materials and the stuff that doesn't come in the box with the Maker 3 that does come in the box with the regular Maker. Now, they both close exactly the same. You just lift the door and push the lid down, and both of them close exactly the same. Again, they can be used with the pens, with everything that you already would have. You can actually use all of the tools for the Explore Air 2 in these as well, plus the pens are all the same for these machines. So you have a lot of options when it comes to like interchanging tools. So if you already have all the tools and you want to upgrade, a Maker 3 could really be worth it for you if you want to cut with the Smart Materials. Now personally, I always tell people, listen, unless you're going to be using Smart Materials all the time, it's not worth the extra money. I hope you guys know I try to be 100% honest with you about cost and what I feel like is worth the price. This new Maker 3, she's pretty expensive compared to the regular Maker. Now, another thing to think about with the Maker versus the Maker 3. If you are not doing matless cutting, I actually found the Maker 3 to be quite a bit slower than the Maker. The Maker 3 actually has to measure your material, then you have to hit the button again, and then it will check the tool. So it does take quite a bit longer to actually go through and cut your stuff, where the Maker just pulls your mat in, checks your tool, and goes right to it. This took me quite a few more minutes to cut things, and it really kind of annoyed me. Also, be aware that the two plugs, so your plug for your Maker and your plug for your Maker 3, are completely different. You cannot interchange them. You have to make sure that you don't lose the plug for your Maker 3 or you don't lose the plug for your Maker. You cannot switch them. The Maker 3 plug actually pulls in, I believe, more wattage or amperage. My husband explained it to me, but it is a little bit nicer of a plug because it does that faster cutting, so it needs a little bit more power. But just be aware that you cannot switch out the plugs between the two types of machines. Now, as far as cost is concerned, the Maker is less expensive than the Maker 3, and I do think that you get a better value with the Maker, being that you get the mats, the rotary blade, the little bit of materials to get started with, and this you don't get mats or the blade, and that blade can be pretty pricey. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to link down below all the things that I think are important for to have when you get started with Cricut, and having mats is like a number one for me, and having extra mats, because if you drop one and you get it dirty, you don't want to have to wait to clean it and dry it. So just keep that in mind, that this can get a little bit crazy with all the things that you need. So I hope this kind of opened your eyes to some of the differences between the Maker and the Maker 3. I hope it will give you a little bit more insight on which machine is best for you, your budget, what you want to cut, and your lifestyle. If you guys have questions about this or any Cricut machines or any crafts, let me know in those comments down below. If you already have a Maker or a Maker 3, let me know why you chose that. I would love to know a little bit more about what you guys thought about, your machines and why you decided to go with what you went with. Having your insight really helps me make these videos, because sometimes I don't always think about the things that you guys do. I hope you guys had so much fun checking out the difference between the Maker and the Maker 3 by Cricut. Have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.